Hello, Julia. Come on.
Hi, Paul.
What was the moment that you decided to launch your art studio? Was it a short idea or a long-term dream?
It is a good question. And honestly, it is very symbolic that we're staying right here in this building in the Brookfield Place in Toronto because I spent 2 years working in one of the offices in exact building for a marketing agency where I was a manager. And it was one of my, anyway. And so this is, first of all, very symbolic that we are in this building. So now coming here, I realized that, you know what? Even though I didn't really enjoy that opportunity, but now looking at my now, that job was absolutely crucial for what I'm doing right now because the experience that I gained there, no matter how cliche it sounds, but the skills and the experience that I gained there are absolutely necessary for my work right now. So opening an art studio was not something I expected. It was not something that I planned. Moreover, if you tell me, I don't know, 6 years ago that, hey, Julia, you'd be an owner of an art studio in a school, wouldn't believe that. So it evolved as a natural reaction to my own journey of what is it that makes me happy? So once I felt that unhappy at this exact job, that moment pushed me very hard to rediscover myself. So what it is that makes me happy, what it is that I can do and feel fulfilled. So my long journey started with making a YouTube channel, started singing, performing, and then eventually I finally found myself back to the visual arts, and my personal journey led me to being in a space where people can experience the same.
So would you say you were following your passion?
And that's the only way. I think that's the only way to start a business, to start a project. Because when I hear people choosing monetary motivation is their primary one, to be honest, I don't believe in that. You have to get crazy. You have to be obsessed with it. You have to have the passion in it. So that's the only way how you can handle all the negative sides, all the drawbacks that job, that career is going to have. Because trust me, no matter what path you choose, no matter what relationship, no matter what person, no matter what career, it's always going to have that
Yeah, you have to
side effects that you still have to learn.
Yeah, if you're crying because of it, it's like it's not a good idea to have it
100%.
or do it.
100%. So does it mean that the job of your dream, right? The business of your dream, it's not going to have moments that would make you maybe want to cry? Yeah, maybe it will. But you're choosing them. You're enjoying even them. So having passion and being obsessed about what you're doing, I think, is the only way to stay committed long term.
Was it hard to launch the business, the capital, opening the real estate and everything, or finding the real estate to begin with, everything else?
It was not easy. I still, when I look back, so it happened 3 years ago. 3 years ago was the first time when I've opened the doors of Art in Around, which is the art school located in the Midtown Toronto. So 3 years ago, I got the key from the landlord. I renovated the space. I brought the furniture and I started the classes. It was not easy, to be honest. I still don't know how I pulled that very fast, but I think that when there is a very, very strong desire, no matter how cliche it sounds, when there is a very strong desire and readiness, somehow all the resources are coming along. So it took me maybe a month to find the space. And believe it or not, the space was always literally 5 minute walk from where I live. So I was all over this.
Exactly.
And that place actually was 5 minutes away from where I lived. Finding the space.
So no more subway, no more crying.
No more subway, no more crying. Absolutely. Finding the space was the first step. But it was, to be honest, nothing compared to all the things that comes with managing the business along.
Were you confident in the process of opening it? How would you say it? Or did you have a lot of self-doubt? Which one of those two?
I think it is normal to have self-doubt when you're pursuing something, when you're opening a business. Moreover, if you're completely confident and there is zero doubt, let me tell you, something is off. I believe that having doubt is a part of being a human. Does it mean that that's doubt, maybe anxiety and maybe fear prevents you from doing it? Absolutely no. You still gotta go through, right? So I did have doubts. I did have insecurities, but I acted up on that. Instead, I made extra research. Instead, I made extra efforts. I reassured myself. I pushed even harder, right? So it wasn't always clear to me. Moreover, there were moments in my business when I had to downsize. There was a moment when I shut it down when I moved to another city, when I said, fuck it, I don't want to do it anymore. Here am I doing this all over again. So yes, there were definitely moments when I went very, very down, but that's what makes a journey a journey.
Yeah.
You go down and then you go up.
You rise up. Everybody has self-doubt. I just seen people have the illusion that if they're looking for for a relationship, they're looking for a perfect one. If they're looking for a career, they're looking for a perfect one. And then tiny bit of self-doubt, they automatically, draw back and jump out of the situation. And that is just an illusion. I would say even Batman has self-doubt.
And listen, I think that the big part of maturing in general is understanding that whatever you choose comes with a certain struggle. Whatever pie you choose comes with a certain bitterness. So maturing is understanding that whatever relationship you choose, whatever job you choose, whatever career, there will be those moments of bitterness, right?
Of course.
So being able to stay committed and within this project, with person, whatever that is, to me, that is the sign that you actually realize the value about it. You're actually committed. Let's go.
I just remember reading about 3 stages of maturity.
Oh.
And the first stage is when a person blames the world for his failure. The second stage is when a person tries to shift and accidentally blames himself for everything. And the third stage is when the person can finally blame both sides and see whose fault it was at which side.
I think it makes a lot of sense. The only thing that, when I think of it from my perspective, I would change the word blame to responsible. So start owning the responsibilities of whatever your actions, whatever your thought, and the responsibility of the other person.
Remember we were talking about self-doubt?
Yeah.
So
5 minutes ago, I'm not that old.
So just what would you say to the people who want to do the same thing as you, to launch their business, their dreams, their passion, but they are in self-doubt about it? What advice would you give?
Again, self-doubt. Let's normalize self-doubt. It is normal to worry, to be anxious, not to be sure, because in the end, in this life, apparently, there is no guarantees other than the life is going to end at one point. So there is no guarantee that your business idea succeed. There is no guarantee that people are going to come. There is no guarantee that you're going to get enough money to pay the rent. All right. And pretty much owning the business means that you sign yourself up for all the risks that come with it. And to be very honest, every month I enter and I have zero clue what's going to wait for me. Because the other side of running the business is that there is no paid vacation. There is no paid sick pay. There is, you know what, guys? I'm tired this week. I'm just going to do whatever. It depends on you. It depends on me. And every month I enter with uncertainty, not being sure how this month is going to go. And I think with the time, my nervous system was able to adapt, to be able to tolerate the risks and the pressure. So instead of constantly worrying about it, I make more effort if I feel like more effort is needed, right? So I convert that worriness, anxiousness into action, which to me works. So let's normalize the moment of doubt. It is normal. What's going to happen if it doesn't work out? You're going to wake up the next day, saying that feeling. Maybe you're going to be sad. Wake up next day. And then eventually, maybe you're going to try again. Hopefully, you're going to try again. So let's normalize self-doubt because the one thing that it shouldn't do, it shouldn't prevent you from doing. So use self-doubt, use your anxiety actually as a push, because that's what I did. I also had those moments. I used it as a massive push to maximize my efforts using the adrenaline that my body was generating, right? So what's going to happen if it's not going to work out? Let me tell you. So you're going to keep going and you're going to try it again and again and again. And hopefully until the time when it finally works, because here is also the numbers game. It didn't work for me right away. I quit my jobs many times before it finally became my one and only full-time project. So I see very often that people quit their jobs, say, you know what, from now on, from tomorrow, I'm going to do this full-time. It's all right if it doesn't happen right away. It's all right if you have to go back to the work that you were doing and that you hated to support yourself financially. It's all right. Because at one point, when all the stars are going to be aligned, we're going to be absolutely mentally, energetically ready for the moment. The stars are going to be aligned and you're going to make it work. That final result, sort of, it might need a lot of attempts and a lot of trials, just like in big.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure some people don't agree with us on this matter, but I'm going to tell you this, that by doing absolutely nothing, by not trying anything, the misery is going to keep growing.
And you know what? By doing nothing, you already have a no. That's what you have already.
Exactly.
Right? There is no chance. There's just
If you don't do anything, then the business will fail for sure.
100%. And I tell my students when it comes to art, it's the same because I feel like there is this thing called the fear of white canvas. When you see a white canvas and this pressure of all the possible things that you can do and that can also go wrong, it usually prevents people from even trying. So same thing, I think, same analogy can be applied to business, 100%. So actually, in painting, for example, there is this fear of white canvas. So when people see white empty canvas in front of them, they feel intimidated and scared because of all the things that they can put there and because of all the mistakes that also might happen out of this. And that, oh my God, what if it looks bad, right? So that's why many of us, we never even attempt. What I always remind my students, hey, you better have 10 misused canvas and start the 11th one. And that's how you overcome the fear, and that's how you make things going. That's how you eventually increase the chance that things are going to work out.
You mentioned intimidation, and I think intimidation shouldn't be stopping you. It should be challenging you, and you should be trying to fight it and try to overcome it. What would you say was the greatest reward of launching the art studio?
Reward. I think I am a lucky person, very lucky, because I'm able to see results of my work. The luckiest moments is when my students, years after or months after, message us, hey, Julia, I went to this class. I've started a business. You helped me find a new hobby. I was in the depression and it helped me finally overcome it. You know what? That was a life-changing moment. Now I'm doing it with my kids. So moments like that, no matter how dark it is from time to time, they make me feel very, very rewarded. Also, I must say that it became one of my biggest support systems. What I love became a safe space where I feel that I always belong because I created that space for myself. Whenever things happen, I know that I got this.
One of the obstacles I see today is when people try to do everything by themselves when it comes to business. And I think that the biggest thing that helps with that is a team. What do you think?
First of all, you're absolutely right. It is very difficult to manage everything on your own. And especially if you're pursuing the path of being an entrepreneur, that means that you have to wear the hat of the finance guy, of a marketing guy, of communication guy, content manager, all of that. So there is a lot just on you. And you're absolutely right. At one point, you get tired. And at one point, you realize that your business scaled up to the extent that you need to delegate. And that's when the search of the team starts. And I think actually now, looking back at the past year when I had team growing, team replacing each other, changing, looking for new people, hiring, training, it is one of the most difficult parts of running a business. Not to deal with numbers, not to deal with ads, but dealing with people. So it is the most difficult part of running the business. But it is definitely not something you start with, I think. And I think that the question of how do I involve the team should happen to you when you are ready for that, when your business reaches a certain stage, when you are able to hire, to scale, etc. I think that everything should start with a very, very deep, insightful research and audit. So I have lots of business owners who come to me and they have not even business owners, people who have a dream, right? Who have an idea. They come to me like, hey Julia, I have this idea, where do I start? What logo do I make? So you don't really start with the logo. Moreover, things like that, in the very end, this is the cherry on the cake. Meanwhile, I noticed that many of us forget about the core of the cake. So what is the core of the cake? Your brand. What is your brand about? What's the unique things that make you different? What's the selling points? What's the market like? I feel like now everybody forgets to do the market research. What's the economy? What are the competitors? What are they doing? Deep audience research. And when I used to work in the agencies and etc., it was a massive part of the process when you realize who's that target persona who you're trying to reach. Where do they hang out? What social media do they consume? What do they cry about when they go to sleep? What ice cream do they eat? Right? All of those things. So very deep research and understanding of your audience. You connect all the pieces together. You write a very strong business plan on the paper. It has to be in writing. Whatever is in your head, it's great, but in order to make things real, I'm still a big believer that it has to be in writing. There has to be a plan, there has to be a strategy, and then as a result of that, after connecting all the dots, that's when you think, okay, so in order to reflect this branding, in order to talk to this audience, in order to be different from these competitors. These are the things that I'm looking from my external features, like my logo, like my website, etc., my social media, all of those. So this whole external things comes as a natural result of a massive deep work that you should have done in the very beginning. And because lots of businesses are missing this stage and they invest massive amount of money right away in marketing, they have to redo it all over again because they realize, oopsie, doesn't work. Oopsie, I'm not attracting the right audience. Why am I not selling? Well, maybe because the communication that you chose has nothing to do with your crowd. Or maybe your crowd...
I've seen that so many times.
And then people start misjudging or they lose any belief in marketing, not because it doesn't work, but because it doesn't work if you don't do a proper homework before.
I just remember seeing that on TV when people were making an advertisement, and I myself trying to figure out what in the world are they advertising to me.
Exactly, and so that is, I think, something that right now in the community, in this economy, lots of people have this negative feeling, the prejudgment whenever it comes to marketing. Whenever they hear the word ad or pay, they're like, oh damn, they're gonna sell something to me, whatever. In reality, when it's packed in the right way, when you choose the right communication strategy, when you know who are you talking to, where are you talking to them, because your business doesn't have to be on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you have to be mindful about it. You have to be strategic. So once you connect all the pieces together, that's when you build up the brand. That's when things are happening. That's when you scale. That's when you think what other external resources you need to make it happen. That's when you start building the team, being mindful about what things I delegate, what things I remain for myself. For example, in my case, there are things that I can't delegate right now in terms of creating social media, talking to my audience on Instagram, replying to customer messages, all of those things. For now, they are the core functions that I still carry because I feel like maybe at this point of running the business, they are essential. They belong to me. However, I also assume that as the business grows, it might change and I might need to hire somebody else to do this.
So you recommend adaptation to that situation if the business changes?
Absolutely. There is nothing static. You know what? 1 month I feel like, damn it, I figured. Now I know what works. Next month I realized, fuck, I don't know what works. I gotta rediscover all of that. What worked last month, the ad that worked last month, the product that worked last month, doesn't work anymore. So it's ongoing, constant change, as if you're the water trying to run and build its own way. So absolutely adaptation to economy, to seasonality. Let me tell you, summer is a bad season for some of the businesses, including mine. So every day I gotta adapt and it pushes me more and more. And if I pretend that I am stable and I am the center of this economy and it has to adapt towards me, failure.
Like what we mentioned also earlier about choosing your audience, choosing the people. Like don't try to sell calculators to bodybuilders. And the other part, when you said about adaptation, I think this is another example of Blockbuster. How those guys, they didn't try to adapt. They didn't see that things are changing. People are using different devices to look for different things. Some people even watch Netflix through their phone. And in this situation, Blockbuster could have simply built the same thing or similar thing. But anyway.
No, this was a very good point because I see what happens very often because I attend lots of events with entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, and everybody comes with their ideas. And very often, those ideas are being criticized and they're getting very offended and they're like, oh, damn, but that's my idea. The thing is, your idea should actually solve an existent problem for your consumer. Very often, people come up with ideas, but that idea just makes them feel happy. Does not necessarily mean that it actually solves current problem. And that's where it breaks their heart, but in reality, unfortunately, it's not the market that adapts to you. You learn the market and you learn how to be a player in this market.
Exactly, and about the part of being offended, that is the sad and the funny part at the same time, because we can just talk about our haters at the moment. That there are going to be people who are going to be criticizing you. You have to adapt to criticism and insults if you're trying to build a business. Let me tell you this part. You can thank your haters. A lot of businesses actually grown or even skyrocketed, not thanks to their main customers, but because of their haters yapping about it. Have you heard that story about Antlers?
No, tell me.
So some kind of vegans or vegetarians were trying to mess up a guy's business because he was selling meat. He was some kind of famous meat restaurant, Antlers, and they carried a sign, murder, around his business. So the guy took out the meat and he was cutting it right in front of them at the window. So the story went viral, and then that business became so popular that it was booked for 4 months ahead.
Wow.
It's actually something in Toronto, I think. Even now, I'm advertising the guy right now thanks to his haters,
Yeah.
not to the people who actually liked him.
You know what? I feel like right now there is also such thing as hype. And hype does not always necessarily come from something great, or it does not necessarily come from something that is just good. So with the social media out there, I'm sure you know, guys, lots of the influencers, lots of creators, they notice that when they just do something good, nobody cares. Yeah, whatever. Somebody maybe likes, somebody doesn't. But when they do something very freaky or very, very weird or very provocative, that's what generates the hype. So we do live in the hype economy. We do live in the hype community. And I feel like actually that's why art, being an artist right now, it's not easier, it's not more difficult. It is just different because it is very rarely, there are lots of great artists out there. They do lots of beautiful stuff, but it's rarely that art becomes viral. Because usually what becomes viral is something pretty weird, freaky, and something that has a lot of haters.
What you're saying, what you're talking about right now, it actually has a name. I learned about it recently. It's called the purple cow.
Oh, that's interesting.
Have you heard of this?
No.
The purple cow effect, apparently, is the main key to what Mr. Beast used by showing people something that they've never seen before. So if you see a brown cow on the road,
Saw that.
it's cute, but it's not gonna get too much attention. If you see a purple one,
Yeah.
that is gonna get a lot of our attention.
So consider that when you do your advertisement, consider that when you do your marketing, but also maybe always think about what's right for you to remain authentic. Because sometimes I feel like chase for views and chase for hype, purely for hype, makes you lose yourself, your authenticity, your values and your business initial character, right? So in the end, whatever you're showing out there, whatever you're saying out there, it should be true to yourself. It should be true to what you think, right? Why you started that long time ago. Because I feel like lots of business owners, they had certain beliefs when they started something, and then with the time, the years, flows of income and losses, it changes. So I think time to time, reminding yourself, why did you start it back then is essential.
Yeah, I actually know some kind of people like that. I don't want to talk about them. I don't know if they would feel comfortable. People had the situation when they had a massive money gain,
Yeah.
income gain, and then they didn't know what to do because they ran out of ideas and couldn't adapt to the new situation. They just thought that putting in more money is gonna move them forward, but kind of didn't.
But they lost themselves somehow.
Yeah.
Paul, thanks for having me. I think it's beautiful that you guys create a space for people like me, people like us who follow our dreams and passion to have a space to share. Because in the end, what makes us better community in all the ways is the ability to connect, to share, and to talk about things exactly the way they are.
And thank you very much for coming. It's wonderful to have guests who are wonderful speakers like you.
Thank you.